Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, today we start a whole new series of dildo burgering called The Prophecies of the Dildo Burger by Michael Fazio. And today we are going to move through time to show you how the 44th POTUS, aka the 44th Pustain, has been able to dildo burger the whole world. And the way I know this is because I went into my vault and I pulled out my broom that allows me to travel through time and space and interdimensionally if need be. And then once I move through time and space, I come back with the awareness of how to prove the prophecies of the dildo burger in their entirety. But let us move first into the space shuttle launch, because while I was flying around in my broom, I happened to go past the space shuttle launch itself and realized that the pictographs on the $1 bill are very similar to that of the space shuttle launch because of the way the fuel is ejected from the nozzles or the bell housing of the space shuttle rocket motor itself. And to prove that this is not just a theory, first we are going to prove that the abomination is exactly that, and then we are going to move into nuclear rockets or nuclear detonations and rocketry that propel nuclear detonations, and then into the molecular nature of a nuclear bomb, aka the bomb itself. Now notice, ladies and gentlemen, the ears. The ears are on a 45-degree angle, and this is, of course, a representation of Satan. Now, if you don't believe that the abomination is exactly what I tell you that it is, aka an abomination, what I would like you to focus on right now are the ears. Notice the ears. You see how the ears go on a 45-degree angle? The same way this abomination, the ears are on a 45-degree angle. The same way. The two are one and the same. Now, let us move into one of the pictographs on the $1 bill before we go to rocket motors, and I want you to see for yourself the entities that can be made by folding the bills that represent evil. Now this particular fellow, at first he looks like a pot-bellied devil with horns. But then if you take a closer look, this is one face, and then here is another face, and then here is a third face, because the depictions that are on the $1 bill are endless when it comes to pictographs. When I rotate this particular pictograph twice, and then expand it one more time, I will show you three more faces of evil that appear on the $1 bill by doing nothing more than simply folding the bill. And the reason that I am showing you this now is because in a moment I am going to show you a different methodology in which to fold the bill so that you can see a nuclear detonation. So you can see one face here, one face here, one face here, and one face here. If you look and stop the video at some point, you can see that there are three faces of evil, and this looks like a Fu Manchu beard of evil, and another one coming down from here, and then another one coming from the top face. And once again we will rotate it to prove that you saw what you saw the first time. And there you go. Again, you have three individual faces, but this time it looks like he has a footing. Okay, now let us move to the next pictograph that is pertinent to a nuclear detonation. And this is the bill folded slightly different, and the bill shows you a picture of a glory on the top of the eye of God that sets upon the Great Pyramid. This is a glory, and this is a detonation. These are two different types of energy. One is radiating in straight lines that substantiates life as we know it, or light, and the one on the bottom represents a detonation because it is particles expanding rapidly. Now, to prove that they are in fact particles expanding rapidly, this is a nuclear warhead. This is typical of a nuclear warhead, and inside here you have U-235, then you have another shell of U-235, and the way the bomb is created itself is the outside shell and the inside shell are brought together rapidly. Boom, like that. And what this does is it doesn't allow the neutrons to escape. And then once they are, the two pieces of U-235 are brought together like that, there's no place for the neutrons to go, and it forms a detonation. Moving into it in any more depth than that is not really necessary, other than the fact that the thing that causes the outer shell of U-238 to impact with the inner shell of U-238 is something called an impactor, which is similar to shutting the barrel of a cannon down and shooting the cannon off, and the shell has nowhere to go in the breech or the barrel, and it implodes on itself. Now, the second part of that picture is, this is the way the neutrons escape. Notice that they escape in a radiant fashion, in a circular fashion, but the neutrons escape in an explosive fashion, which is completely different than the radiance around the eye. This is the explosive nature of the nuclear detonation. This is the radiance of light itself. And this would be how the nuclear detonation takes place itself. One particle hits into massive particles, and it is expanded exponentially, and that is a depiction of a nuclear detonation and how it basically works. Moving back into the pictures that I have, here is another picture of the nuclear detonation itself underneath the eagle's head, because the eagle is inverted, and at that point what the eagle shows you is that the bell housing that I mentioned in the beginning of the video that was ejecting the blast downwards from the rocket engine is also now depicted as the eagle's wings as a directional nozzle that changes the direction of the flow of solid rocket fuel or liquid rocket fuel and changes the direction of the nuclear missile itself. And moving from that, you have the blast furnace underneath the nuclear nozzle, and here it is depicted as a nuclear detonation. This is the shield of the eagle above the eagle's head, and this is a representation of the commander-in-chief, although this is a representation of an Indian chief, because when the bill was created, the pictographs originally represented the only ability that we had to create war itself in the form of a bow and in the form of an arrow. That was the methodology to use to kill people in the 1770s. However, we have progressed to a nuclear detonation. So the eagle feathers now turn into an Indian war bonnet, of an Indian chief with a bow and arrows. And that depicts the two forms of death that are going to occur. This is the death of bow and arrows that occurred in the 1700s, and this is the death that is going to occur in the year 2011 and 12 because of Fukushima and because of the Calhoun nuclear power plant. And this is a picture of the detonation or a pictograph of a nuclear device. This is the tip of the warhead, and this is the impactor, and this is the missile, and this is a nuclear detonation flying upwards. However, when we rotate this twice, you can see the nuclear detonation is now headed towards Earth, and that is the 2011 depiction, and this is the depiction of the EU, aka the European Union. And at that point, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, it's time for me to get a bigger camera.